And welcome to the Forder and FOKLZ podcast. We have just been trying to do some thumbnail poses. We're terrible at that. But how are you, Reese? You right, mate?
Yes, I'm okay now. Hopefully the internet holds up for more than 5 minutes.
This is going to be a disaster, isn't it? So essentially tonight, if we can get through it, we're going to go through essentially the FOKLZ Awards. So we're going to look at all teams from the Premier League. It's not going to be an Arsenal biased one. Well, try not to anyway. Just looking at, player of the season, biggest overachievers, underachievers, etc. Using the Monday Night Football format. And annoyingly, I do agree quite a lot with Carragher and Neville on this, which really irritates me. But should we just get into it? Let's get into it. Come on, let's go. So our first one on the FOKLZ Awards is the Best Player Award. Is there really an argument for anyone other than Salah this season?
Not really. He beat the goal in assist combination record.
Yeah.
I mean, that is in itself. I mean, it's weird because performance wise, I mean, you can argue, you can debate if he's actually been that good, but goal contributions is like world class, isn't it? He won in the league.
Yeah, I mean, he equaled Henry's Golden Boot record, having 4. First player ever to win like most goals and most assists in the season. He's just, efficiency. I still maintain there's not even a close debate with who's better out of him and Henry, but just in pure, GA. He's just a GA machine, isn't he? Let's be honest. It's mad. Do you know what? Have you seen the video of Havertz doing the rounds, and people are kind of laying into Hazard. Sorry. Got the wrong person there. The Hazard video, and people were like laying into him, going, "Oh, look at him!" And I thought he's like 35, which to me is a spring chicken, and retired essentially. You know what? What are you asking him to do? Playing like football at like a random? I don't even know what the match is. Do you know what it is?
Some sort of friendly game. He's playing quite a few actually, though, over the last couple of years, and he's looked okay in them. But he is obviously a lot bigger now. But
he's not looking shape. But people were like,
it's the same with Schneider.
He's
like massive.
Like, I love looking at certain footballers when they finish, like Wayne Rooney, Ronaldo, like but to be fair to him, when you've played at an elite level for so long, like, why not? You're worth millions. Just eat what you want. Just, you're done with that part of your life. Like, it's fine. But I think Salah is the one there, isn't he? Just putting Salah on both of us. Get it done. Why not?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's been quite easy for that this year. I was actually looking at the voting percentage on the BBC website for Player of the Season, and Salah won it with 57%. And then second is Alexander Isak with 8%, and Eberici Eze with 8%, and then fourth was Rice with 7%.
I'm actually quite surprised.
I was just like,
Eze.
Well, Eze is crazy because, like, bro did nothing until January. Like, Palace as a whole did nothing. Like, they played this 5-back system and no one in their midfield was having a good game. And then after, like, December, January, they all just clicked into gear.
Yeah.
Wharton, Kamada, and Eze. But before that, like, no way near, no.
That's just mad, isn't it? Recency bias in these types of things is so... It does weigh heavily in people's votes, definitely. But I think Salah is a deserving victor of that. It just is what it is. All right, let's go on to best young player. So looking at Neville and Cara, they both went Miles Lewis-Skelly, and I am an Arsenal fan, and I do think he's been amazing. But has he played enough football? Like, he's played 1,369 minutes in the Premier League. I just don't think over the course of a season you can give him best young player. Agreed, or am I kind of looking too much into it?
I think there's probably one player I'd say over him, but I don't want to say him because he is probably in at least 2 of the other awards, and I will probably give him one as well.
Oh,
So I'd rather just not. So I'd
Okay.
rather just not like double book him. And I think because of that, I think Mars has played enough. Just maybe it's about half the season he's played, maybe a little bit less. But I just think that I don't know the levels that he's reached in that time have been incredible. But then, like you, best newcomer maybe fits him a little bit better than best young player. So, but then it's like, who do you give best young player to? I mean, there's one guy that I want to, but he's 100% going down as the next one after this.
I see.
So
I
I
had
just
3 people in mind for the young player, the best signing, the best newcomer. So it'll be interesting to see who you've got. So for young player, I've gone with Howson. I think he is deserving of his move to Real Madrid. I think in terms of signings, with him leaving, I don't think he can get best signing because you're only having him for a season before he moves on with a release clause. Newcomer, I think he's better than a newcomer, if that makes sense. And I looked at Miles in that newcomer role. So for me, I've gone with Howson. But I have a feeling you've got someone else. Have you got someone else?
Well, I was going to put Howson on best signing because I just think that overall deal for 17 million pounds. I mean, even when they made that deal, I was like, that's incredible. And like, I feel like they made a 30 mil profit in a year. It's pretty impressive for a team like Bournemouth. But I don't. Best young player is a weird one because it's such a scam award. Like, I hate including like a William Saliba. He's not young. He's like played in the Prem in years. Like, it's a stupid award. It should be like younger. I think Adam Wharton is fair. I think he has been incredible the last couple of months. I think Carlos Baleba, like just incredible talent, like super young, can be an option as well. I do think Bergvall from Tottenham deserves a shout because I think he has actually been really, really good, and he's only 18.
I feel he's like a prospect. Do you know what I mean? Does that? I know it's almost like semantics, but like I don't think he's deserving of being like the top of those young players. I don't know if that really makes sense.
Yeah, I think overall I would give it to Miles because I do think he's had the highest peak out of anyone, but I do think Wharton is very close. Like, I think about like maybe consistency is another part of it, and I do think some of these other players have better consistency. But I mean, Wharton, like I think about them FA Cup games, incredible. I think about Miles in the Champions League. I know it's not the Prem, but it's the season overall. And I think like them peaks are a bit more interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought with Howson in terms of I did note this down somewhere. I'm trying to find it somewhere, but let me have a look. He's one of the only players to be involved in over 100 aerial duels and win over 60% of them. So like, although we kind of look at him in terms of, you know, both-footed, able to play the ball, he's come into like a really young team defensively. And I just thought, for me, moving on to Madrid shows like the maturity of the lads. So I thought over the course of a season, I've just got to go for him. But yeah, I am with you, Lewis Kelly. I think, his peak has just been unbelievable. And his dual numbers have been unbelievable as well. Let's go on best signing then. Do you want to go first with best signing?
Yeah, it's probably just Dean Howson, I think, for me. Like, I just think 17 million pounds for a generational centre back for a team like Bournemouth as well, who do buy very intelligent youngsters. It's just an incredible coup. Like at the time, it was incredible. It's become insane, and I just don't know if you're going to find a better signing than that. I actually think as well, a lot of the signings last summer, this year, haven't necessarily bedded in properly. I'd say a lot of teams have kind of struggled. So I think that's why you can actually give it to a defender, because usually you give it to like a forward or midfielder, but I don't know, like not many players have really excited me too much.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because I've actually gone for someone that we haven't mentioned yet. You mentioned him on the last pod, actually. But I think in terms of signings for 12 million from Fiorentina, Milenkovic, for me, I think simply because we're keeping him in the league as well. He's not just like moving on. He's in the top 5 for duels, both air and ground duels. He's been a fantastic signing, and not one that I kind of looked at and thought, he'll be a success in the league. Whereas Howson came with a little bit of a reputation, and that's why the release clause was kind of being put in there. So for me, I think, Nikola Milinkovic, that's my signing of the season. I mean, a bit left field, a little bit different, but I think, to be fair, he could have gone in any of these. Mix around these 3 as you go, really.
I do want to say that back to the BBC voting, this signing of the season is a bit of a joke because 31% Dean Howson obviously won it, 27% Milenkovic is second, and then you've got Marco Asensio and Liam Delap on 9%, and then you've got Marino on 4, Elliot Anderson on 6, and Marmouche on 8. So I don't know why people think Marco Asensio for the basically 30 million wages they spent for 6 months, where they're now in turmoil because of it, and he scored a couple of goals which meant absolutely nothing because they didn't win any cups. I don't really see why people think that's a great signing. He sat on the bench for 6 months. Like,
again, I just think it's short-termism, isn't it? People don't really think of the whole season. It's
it's the same. Yeah, it's the so Liam Delap, isn't it? Like, he had a good season. Like, he's a good player, but like I don't know, he had a better season than maybe some people thought, but it's just not like it's not signing of the season. He's been fine. Like,
he hasn't affected their season
enough. That's a lot
enough.
Of money.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if they stayed up, I would have gone, fairs. That, but in the grand scheme of things, he'll probably leave at the end of the season. It hasn't affected Ipswich. Like,
and that's why our 2 players are basically like, I mean, they had both incredible performances all season to get them high positions. So.
Let's go on newcomer then. So I'll go on this one. So you've already mentioned him, but yeah, for me, Miles Lewis-Skelly has to go in there. I think he's been a revelation. I just don't think he could be in young player. If I'm looking at Howson, I'm looking at Lewis-Skelly. For me, anyway, I just don't think the minutes adds up. But I mean, you're right in terms of, his peak performances have been unbelievable. Some of the moments he's had have been unbelievable. And people like Haaland will know who he is now. No one's going to be sat around going, who's this lad? Who's this guy who's coming through at Arsenal? And I think even bigger for him is that Ethan Nwaneri was the one who was talked about a lot by Arsenal fans. Those geeks in the know, like us, have been saying about Miles a little bit more. But I think the general consensus was that Ethan was the one to watch this season. And Lewis-Skelly has just, burst onto the scene. He's been unbelievable. Your newcomer, mate, who are you going with?
I don't even know. Like, I mean, I have a name, but like, I feel like this is such a hard one because I didn't want to pick like someone quite boring, I guess. And I just feel like, I don't know, there's so many overlaps. Like, newcomer is such a, I don't know, weird turn. I think Marmouche, I know he's not been brilliant, but I think he's been quite fun. And I actually think that he's been the lonely shining light for City since he's come in many ways. Yeah. Like, he has changed their style a lot as well. And I actually think he's been better. I think the more he plays in that team, he's going to be good. And he's already scored for like 9 goals or something in like half a season. Like, only Aubameyang's done that since he's come in January. So he's still been very impressive, but he scored some incredible goals. And I mean, I just didn't really know who to pick for this. Like, everyone who I like has basically been in the Prem like at least 6 months before last season. Yeah. So it's just like a bit annoying, really. But
no, yeah, fair enough. And I think he'll be someone that becomes more and more important in that City squad. He's had a real tough ass coming in January. On the streak he was in, I want to say he had more GA than pretty much anyone else in world football at the time. Like, he might have been like top 3 along with like
he's still third in the Bundesliga for this season.
There you go. So like, he was on a real hot streak, and to just suddenly come over mid-season, completely different league, different system. I think it's been a tough ask, and he was more of the main man. I know similar role in terms of like playing a second striker at times, and like Haaland is undeniably the focal point of City's attack, but Marmoush has had to kind of, make way for him a little bit, and I think he's been a really, really good addition to that squad. One of the few transfers from City that I've thought, okay, I understand what you're doing. I was gutted that we didn't get him because we were linked, weren't we? And I was behind it, especially at the dead ball situations. He's so good at that, and he's a moments player. He is a moments player. Okay, for you, most improved player this season.
Oh, most improved. I haven't thought about this well enough.
Do you want me to go, or you'll have nothing?
Oh, I've got one, which is like the most tapping, easiest one ever. Of course, it's Jacob Murphy. Like,
that is a good shout. That's not who I've gone for.
I mean, I've seen so many Newcastle fans be like, why is no one giving credit? It's like, everyone's giving him so much credit this season. I saw someone put like the most underrated Prem player you don't know about. It's like, I'm pretty sure everyone knows how good Jacob Murphy's been. It's been spoken about 400 times. Obviously, he came through the Norwich Academy with his brother. And it was funny because he was always the worst one. Like, Josh was always seen as the better one in the Norwich Academy. And Josh played for Norwich for like 100 games, and Jacob only played for one season for Norwich. And Josh is doing well in the Championship, I think, for Portsmouth now. But it's kind of crazy to see like the levels that Jacob Murphy has reached. And this season, like, he's incredible. He's been one of the best right wingers in the world, which is no small thing.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, his link-up play with Isak is so good. Like, I think that's maybe something that's been underrated. The fact that they've built up a connection like that so quickly.
Their combination's like the most used one in Europe, I think.
Is it?
Like, I think Jacob has assisted Isak like 10 times, like just that not the other way around, just that one. I think that's the most in Europe this season, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's a great shout, mate. That's not who I was going for. When you said an instant tap-in, I'm just going to type this in now, and you're going to go, oh, yeah. If I can.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I just think Gravenberch for me. Would he get in my team of the season? I think he probably would. It'd be a toss-up with like a Tielemans or a Caicedo. I think Gravenberch, especially the first half of the season, unbelievable. For him to have that position change, anchor Liverpool's midfield, he has been a revelation, and I don't think you can underestimate how pivotal he's been to their title run. That was an obvious, like, I don't know, like a weak point in their squad or in their lineup. And his availability, I think he's played every game bar one this season. He's got the most interceptions. No, sorry, second most interceptions. And then he's won back the possession more times than anyone else in the Premier League. Like, he's been unbelievable. He's like really rangy as well, which is something that I didn't realise prior to him coming to Liverpool. He seems to, like, I don't know, be able to use his body in a better way this season than I've seen previously. And he had, I think at this point, it was the kind of fork in the road where his career was going to go off and go what could have been, or go back on the right track. And he's definitely going back on the right track. He's been fantastic this season. Annoyingly.
I do think I think you could argue half of Liverpool's team should be in that, to be honest. I think Szoboszlai is like, I think Szoboszlai's improvement has been really good. And he's that underrated because people don't really see it because he doesn't get loads of goals or assists. I mean, some of their defenders, I think, have had a really good season. I think Konate has been incredible this season. I don't think he was this good last year. I've never really been that high on Konate, but I think this year he's been incredible. Yeah.
Consistency.
Yeah. And I even think I feel like people like Kwanzaa are really good. Like, I really do think they're underrated. But yeah, I think we've literally picked probably the two best shouts really for that position.
Yeah. Pat on the back for us.
Yeah. That's great.
We're so modest. Yeah, we've got that right. Right, best coach. I'm interested to see who you've got for best coach. I think there's probably two shouts here. and I went between, and I've kind of sat on one now, but by the time this video goes out, I might have changed my mind again. So, your coach of the season.
So the problem is that like how I look at things, I do consider maybe it's a biased perspective, maybe it is some sort of like inherent bias I have, but I always look at things and I go, if I think a manager has been somewhat lucky in some of the approaches they put in games and they've still won, I tend to not give the credit to the manager. I just feel like that's what it's like. And the problem is like all the big managers this season have kind of, I think, had that in many ways. I think there has been some luck. I mean, even us as well. It's not just like them. I think every team this season has kind of had moments they've struggled, and there's some teams that have been managed to just get out of that through straight talent, and some teams like us who just don't have that in the forward areas haven't really been able to. I think I would give it to Slot. I don't think I'm like the highest personal Slot in the world, but I just think like to come in and win the league in your first year, as much as the competition wasn't brilliant, as much as everyone else had their own problems, and as much as I don't really like his like pressing system, ultimately it reserved a lot of pressing that the problems they had under Klopp later in the season where they would get tired and they weren't as bad this year. And he was able to go through the punches and keep going. And he made what to with the team that he had. Putting Gravenberch in DM was a masterstroke.
Yeah.
Even just using like Diaz up front for half the season because he was pissed off at Nunez and Yacht was injured. Like things like that. Like even he got a really good output out of Gakpo this season, who I've never liked. I think Gakpo's not that good. So I just think like I think I probably would give it to him overall. And I also think I'm not the biggest Nuno fan. I think Nuno's had a great season, but I still think they rely a lot on like not having the ball and just being like defending in a pack and then just kicking the ball long. And I'm like, it's good, but I don't know.
Which brings me on to my pick. And I've gone Nuno. I've gone back and forth on this, as I said. I just think if I looked at the beginning of the season and said which is more likely, Forest to get into, the Europa League or challenge for Champions League places, or Slot to be able to win the league, I think the most unlikely would have been Nuno. When he came in, Forest was 17th. They had 14 points and they're 5 points outside the relegation zone. What he's done with them now has been nothing short of unbelievable. And it is so difficult because I do agree with you. I think sometimes your like personal biases of like what you like come out as well in these choices. And for me, I just look and I think, how much is Slot winning to do with the team he's been afforded in his first season? And again, how much has Nuno kind of had to do with the squad that he's been given? And I think looking at Nuno's tactics, I don't think they'll work as well next season. I don't think you can kind of bring on pressure as they've been doing, but yeah, they've been fantastic. And at times I've loved watching them. They've had some brilliant moments. And it's just a nice story, I think. Yeah, for Nuno to get the coaches award, for me, it's kind of like come full circle after the whole Wolves problem. And hopefully there's not too much turmoil between him and their owner. We're going to do that.
Dude, yeah. Not the Freud.
There's my thumbnail
Nuno's
picture.
a weird one, isn't he? Nuno's a weird guy. Like, I mean, when he, because he was okay at Wolves, but I remember the whole time at Wolves, he played the same 5-back system, and their whole thing was Traore, you get down to the wing and cross the ball in for Jimenez, and he just did that for 2 years, and it worked really well. And they realised that it was never going to be because then Jimenez got that injury against us through David Luiz, and it kind of ruined their whole attack for many times. And Traore also kind of fell off as well. So I remember like him just not being that good. They got rid of him, and he got sacked by Wolves, or like his contract was ended. They let him run out his contract, and he went to Tottenham and lasted like 9 games or whatever, like 12 games. He was gone in 4 months. I think this season he's been incredible, and like I do think like the end of the season is not his fault. I just think things have caught up to him. But I have seen stats of like expected points, and they are like the most overperforming team in the league. And I think Liverpool might be the second most overperforming team. Ultimately, like stats or whatever, it doesn't mean anything at the end of the day. But it's still like a good basis to see what's happened. I also think like there's not really other managers that you could put in this category right now. Like there's other managers that have had a good season. I think Glasner's had a great season. I think Eddie Howe's had a good season. I think Marco Silva has had a great season, as much as they're mid-table. Like to continue to get that Fulham team to mid-table, despite selling their best players, is incredible. But like people won't care because it's not like flashy, so it's fine. Like at the moment, but it's funny because we mentioned this because the next one is best coaching performance, and like I don't remember every performance. I don't watch every match that isn't Arsenal. But one of the performances that really stands out to me, and one of the main like games this season that made me really take stand of Forest in particular, was the 1-0 Forest win at Liverpool, which was Liverpool's only loss for like the first 7 months of the season. And that to me was like, I remember Liverpool players coming out after and doing the old typical top 16. They didn't try to attack us, they defended, but they did
They
defend.
did.
Allison came out and said it, and they defended so well. And then they scored that brilliant counter-attacking goal with Hudson-Odoi and won 1-0 at Anfield. And I just thought, like, when I watched that performance, I think Forest had already won 3 out of 3, and that was a 4 out of 4. And I was like, okay, this Forest team are very, very good. They know what they're doing. And I thought that performance was like incredible.
It's so funny, isn't it? Like, if you relate it to a different sport, if you say, I don't know, boxing, and you have a boxer complain and say, "Oh, I lost because they weren't swinging for the fences," like a Floyd Mayweather. You know what Floyd Mayweather's going to do. Like he's so defensively sound. It's obvious what he's going to do. Like why would he come out with haymakers, like overhand rights? Like that's not going to happen. And it's the same. Like if a big team has got a problem with another team not playing, like unfortunately your job is to break that system down. We know that all too well, being Arsenal fans. Like it's our job to be able to create openings. And I think sometimes it speaks volumes about how well the kind of, the smaller club have played. Because when players start saying that, it's usually because they're just frustrated. It's not, it's not really a slight on the other team. For me, I've gone with the Bournemouth 4 Newcastle win at St James's Park. Newcastle were an incredible run at the time. And it was I don't know if you remember, it's the one where Justin Kluivert got the hat trick. And they were unbelievable. Newcastle were completely like limited in their attack, and that's not something that we usually see. They had Isak playing, they had Gordon playing, and at the time, Bournemouth were really, really limited. They were missing a lot of players, and I think for me that was the big one. So I've gone with Iraola against the Magpies. I don't know.
That's a good one. It's funny because I actually watched, I skipped through that game the other day because I was doing some analysis about Kirchkeff, and he scored in that game late on. And I literally, it's just so incredible. They just boxed them in, and they couldn't get out, and then they were just packing in some incredible ways. Scored some insane goals in that game.
It's mad, isn't it? And I don't think, possession-wise, I want to say it was like 55% to 45%. It wasn't an utter battering in terms of control, but the way Bournemouth played kind of made the whole league, sit up and actually think.
And that's the thing, isn't it? With that's a thing with how we're talking about prefer what we prefer to watch when we play. We see these the Nuno v Liverpool one. They probably are 20% possession, but it's just something I just like teams. I was having a debate with someone the other day, and they were like, "Oh, but it's not fun, going to it, watching teams defend." And I'm sure their own fans get annoyed. I was like, I get that, and I get that as an Arsenal fan. It's frustrating. We have the quality to go forward, but there is something so satisfied about putting in a proper defensive performance and just scoring a goal on the break, or when we beat Tottenham 1-0 and we scored that set piece and we just defended brilliantly the whole game. I love that win. That's one of my favorite wins of the season. I just think I love it personally.
Yeah, and in that game, I just looked. It was 16 successful dribbles for Bournemouth. They were taking players on. It was a great game. I've loved that performance. Biggest overachievers Is it Forest? Have we kind of mentioned it
Yeah, it
already?
has to
Yeah.
be. Even though they came 7th now, but yeah, it's still an absolute overperformance. Like, a lot of people had them in their relegation, so I actually don't know if I have my predictions for the start of the season, but I fear they may be quite low for me as well. I didn't have high hopes. I'd say like a lot of teams didn't surprise me too much this season because like I watched a lot of the games. I kind of knew what I expected, but I will say that the teams that surprised me the most were obviously Forest, like everyone else. And Brentford did surprise me. They did actually step up a lot this season from last year, and I don't think their signings were brilliant, but Frank's a great manager. And Fulham, I thought's team is like awful, but they had a really good season. They came 11th and were solid. Like,
I
got to
think
rate
when
it.
they're talking about Smith Rowe as their saviour, and I thought, with his injuries and we know that lack of consistency, I did fear that they'd be a lot lower. But they've
I
done
mean,
really well,
yeah,
really well.
I mean, they got rid of Polinia, their best
Yeah,
player, like for the last couple of years. Their strikers going into the season as Raul Jimenez, who's like 32, and Rodrigo, who's like I like him. I think he's got really good movement, but he still struggles sometimes, and he's not like a Premier League striker. He's like a backup. He's fine for a backup mid-table side, but they've actually been good effort. Like has actually had a relatively decent season. He had some really good.
Ooh. Or have we lost
Yeah,
it? Sorry, we lost you
I
there,
don't
mate.
know. Yeah, Fulham are good though. I think Fulham for their team, like if you go through their squad, like compared to a lot of the teams around them, it's not that good. It's very mid. And I think they've just got a good. They spent like money on. They spent money on an old centre back who used to play for them, and he's been like okay, like he's not even that good. And they got rid of Tosin on a free, who was their best defender last year.
Yeah,
They've
yeah, I've
still
got
been
that.
fine. Like they just it's just Marco Silva things. That guy's really underrated. He's a great manager.
He really is. But no, I think Forest have to be the overachievers this year. And I know people might say the amount of money that they spent previously, taking that into account, but yeah, I feared for them. I thought they could be towards the drop, but they've been, yeah, fantastic. Fantastic. What a story for them. Underachievers, though. For
I mean,
me,
it's between two, isn't it?
it's got to be Man United. Like, end the season with no trophy. Right down, I mean, genuinely, like, near the drop, which is insane. The amount of money that's been invested in that team over the years, the changing of a manager in terms of Amorim coming in. There's now reports that Amorim's telling Garnacho, good luck trying to find a new club, which I think is like, what an interesting thing to say to one of your players. Not like, you'll need to find a new club, but good luck finding one. Like, he's not good enough to find a club. It's bonkers. Like Jim Ratcliffe coming in and saying, "Oh, we haven't got enough money to pay for, I don't know, like chefs and cleaners and anything like that." And then the next week coming out and saying, "Oh yeah, also I want to build this mental stadium for billions." And it's just that club is bonkers. Like, it's disarray. And regardless, they should still be, like, on their worst season, they should be mid-table. Like, there's no excuse to have someone like Bruno Fernandes in their prime, to bring in a goalkeeper that was in a Champions League final, to have one of the world's most expensive centre-backs ever in Maguire. Like, and you can say what you want, but regardless, that's a true fact. Like, what are they doing? Like, Martinez is not a bad centre-back. Lenny Yoro is one of the top prospects in terms of defenders. They've got what was the lad they just brought in from PSG, the midfielder?
Ugarte.
Yeah, I mean, not the right choice. But even
Yeah,
still, like,
awful signing.
quality should be prevailing at some point. And then you look at McTominay going off to Serie A and absolutely smashing it. Anthony going off and suddenly going on this run of goals. And I just think they have to be the underachievers, because for them to be that low to finish trophyless and to now be sat this summer with, I mean, fans must be thinking, like logical fans must be thinking, how do we get out of this hole now? Like, how bad is this situation now? No Champions League football, so no money coming in, and no Europa League, like no Conference League, nothing. It's horrendous. I just don't know. Yeah, anything to add there?
I mean, yeah, like, I'm so vocal on like United generally. Like, I speak about them a lot when I talk to people in public. Like, someone like my uncle-in-law's from Manchester. I saw him at the weekend, and I was talking to him. I said, "Did you watch the final?" And he turned it off. He wasn't very happy, and I was just like, "Yeah, like the thing is, United have just been an awfully ran club for over a decade, and it's not a surprise to anyone. Like, they have no idea what they're doing from a transfer perspective. They just buy players for the sake of it. They have no idea who to hire, the right people. All their fans as well, I don't think help. I think their fans big up every transfer. They big up them. At the start of the season, I remember telling my dad that all these United fans kept talking to me and they kept going, "Well, we're going to compete." And I was like, "Watch it. You'll give them 3 weeks and they'll be miserable." And I genuinely, going into the season, I think I put United 10th for my predictions because I just did not have any. Because that was, bear in mind, that was Eric Ten Hag, and I did not rate Eric Ten Hag, and I thought that guy was lost it. But they just don't have a clue what they're doing. They've got a manager who's a specific style when that doesn't fit their system midway through the season. And then, like, the players they sign make no sense. They ruin people's careers. It's just a horrible place to be, a toxic place.
Does the manager's system as well, does it even fit the league?
Well, I think it can do, but his build-up has to change. The build-up approach just doesn't work, and it will never work unless he gets like the best players in the world or just awful. Because the league is obviously much more better at pressing than sport in the Portuguese league is. And like, I don't have an issue of how it works in like forward areas. It's literally the build-up is the major issue for that team, and it's never going to be fixed. Like with the players that they have, and I don't think in the league it will overall. I think he will have to change it. There's ways he can do that. We're still playing the same formation, but I don't know if he's going to do that. Like, United are a weird team. I see United fans who I think are like relatively quite intelligent online talking about they're going to sign in Buemo, they want to sign Delap, and they want to sign Cunha. And it's like, yeah, but then you have to get rid of Bruno, then you have to get rid of this, and then like all of these things have to happen for that to happen. You know, they've rumored to just put in the Cunha bid for 62 mil, but it's in 3 installments. They have to pay 20 mil now, and it has to be finished by the end of next season, or it's like 18 months. They have no money. Like, they have to sell. They only have 95 mil to spend without selling. Like, it's an absolute joke. If they get rid of Bruno, if they get rid of Ahmed, they're in a horrible position. I will say that, like, Tottenham deserve a mention because as much as they won the Champions League, and Ange, you know, how as much as how cold his like Owen in the second year, he did win, and I don't think Tottenham fans are gonna care because he's won a trophy. 38 to get 38 points in the Premier League is insane. They didn't even get to 40. They are 17th. That is the worst season like in the league you're ever going to see from a top 6 side. That is insane. They should have got relegated. If the league wasn't so disproportional, like ruined now, they would have been relegated in other seasons, which is mental.
Can I also special mention James Maddison? Like, I don't know anyone lacks such self-awareness. Like, the guy's going out tweeting constantly, going, "I've held receipts," and all these people. It's like, mate, you weren't even in the final. Like, yet again, you're in a relegation battle. Like, I genuinely think he should be out of the door now. There was one point where I thought, well, like, he could be a good creator, and he's a dead ball specialist. And as time goes on, I just realized more and more like how just lackluster he is. Like, he does not have the minerals of a top team player. He just doesn't.
Yeah. Did you see like because I watched the podcast called The Football Ramble, and they were talking about it where in the final he like took 3 like some people didn't get a award because he took too many, or he came up there and took one even though he didn't play, and they were like, you should just wait for yours because you weren't in the team. I think I can't remember, one of the defenders didn't get it because he took theirs, and they were like, yeah, you'll get yours eventually. And I remember Football Ramble talking about how he just made it all about him when he didn't even play in the final.
God.
And the funny thing is Tottenham are linked with Ray and Cherky, so maybe they are thinking about getting rid of Maddison. It's annoying for me because Maddison's been one of my long-term guys, you know. He was so good at Norwich. He was like loved down here. You know, he played in England under 21 games. He met a lot of my mates. Like my mates just met him and like, he's a sound guy. But he just seems to have gone psycho as soon as he went to Tottenham. So I don't know. Unfortunately, that's how it be. But
I mean, if you sign for Tottenham, it's going to do something to your head, isn't it? I just think, like, could you imagine being a defender and you've like slogged it out for 90 minutes and then you don't get a medal because this jumped up little like goes and take. That would drive me insane. Like, we know the stories of the Invincible team having punch ups during training or coming in at half time and being at each other's throats. I can only imagine like a Kolo Toure or a Sol Campbell sitting there with James Maddison taking one of their medals. Like, oh my God, good luck to you, mate. That's mad. That's mad if that's true. Like, that is horrendous. But there we go. I just thought, special mention. Oh, we could have had Buffoon of the season and just given it to him. So we're putting in United though. So let's put Man United. I think we're both in agreement. But God, yes, Spurs. They, by the skin of their teeth, they've got away with this one.
Yeah, because Spurs have a future to actually do okay. Like next season, they can easily compete. I think at least like top 7. I don't see United being anywhere near Europe next year. I mean, it depends on their signings, but it's not looking great.
Now we have got goal of the season, and I know this is one you struggle with. I had one written down here, right? I think I've changed my mind as this has gone on, because originally I put the Harry Wilson goal against Brentford. I don't know if you remember it. The ball comes in. It's Adama Traore, of all people. You know, the guy who cannot hit a final ball. Crosses it in, and then, are you searching it up now? Harry Wilson kind of...
No, I know it when you're talking about.
Do you know, he kind of volleys it as he spins, so he's got his back to goal as it goes in, and it goes over Flecken. Yeah. It's a great goal. But the nice thing to say, is it goal of the season? Is it that good? Like, there's an element of luck to it rather than skill, if that makes sense. It's like, does he, you know, he's not really trying to flick it over Flecken, I guess. I don't know. Just get a contact on it. But just, I don't know. But I think I've changed my mind now. I think Ethan Nwaneri's goal against Man City was, I mean, for me personally, goal of the city. It was just so good. Like the timing of the goal, what was it, 92nd minute? The fact that I think I put out a tweet at the time saying, bring Ethan on now, get him to have the final goal. It would be the best day ever. And what goes and happens? Like, for me, I think that has to be goal of the season. Calafiori's one. I don't think I can say Declan Rice's because it's Champions League, but I think for me, it's actually Nwaneri's goal. It was so good. So good. So, sorry, Harry Wilson. And I know you watch this pod every week, but I'm going with Ethan Nwaneri.
I think, yeah. I mean, I think that's fair. I think if I don't even know, like, we don't score many good goals. Like we don't score many like insane like long shots. We score some good team goals, but not really like that. I think mine. I just don't really remember goals like well enough like this season. I have weird memories of goals from like years ago, or even like random Champions League games from like teams I don't care about. But just generally, it's quite hard to me. Like, I remember the Garnacho one, but it's like last season, not this season. It's like great. I think I love the Diego Lopez one as like recency bias against Tottenham, because the way he finesses it is just like, it's like a power finesse. He hits it so hard, but it's curled, and it's just like, I love them finishes. I just think they look so cool. I think I'd probably give mine to Marmoush though. Obviously, a bit recently. It happened like 2 weeks ago, but I think that goal is so good when he comes inside. It just, because that again, it's like the dip on it. It comes off the post as well. You know, always shoots on that right hand side, like some people are not happy with. But I mean, when he hits it that well, it just doesn't matter, does it? Like, I mean, that goal is just, I think, incredible.
Yeah, again, moments. he is a moments player. He's good, isn't he? I will say that there were some others. The John Duran one, where he picks the ball up. I mean, so far out and just suddenly lashes one. That was one that sprung to mind as well. But I'm going for one that's kind of personal to me. And then final one, our final award here. Favorite game of the season for you? Premier League, Des.
I think the City 5-1 win is just like kind of peak. Like I don't know. I think like I'm thinking like when I make content, like when I like recording videos after the games, like how I felt, and I feel like that was probably the most excited I was, especially at that point as well. It was like I was kind of like we were kind of like mids. We weren't great for a while. Like at the start of the season, I was gassed. I was gassed about the Villa win when we didn't play well. I was gassed against Tottenham, but then that kind of like deteriorated over time. And I think that City game was just like that high point. That's just like that league. I think it's the high point in the league, to be honest. Especially because it's just City in it. It's crazy.
I mean, yeah, the Miles Lewis Skelly celebrations, I mentioned it earlier, the Waneri goal right at the end. We just blew him away. It was so. There's been so many occasions where we've played big six teams and we have not put them to the sword. It's been so irritating, and that's why I love that game, because it's like finally, even when we've lost against teams and we've had some absolute drubbins over the years, it's always been fine margins, where like ball bobbles off a defender and then they suddenly get a breakaway and score, or it's something happens and you think, any other time you clear that, but because we're against City or because we're against Liverpool, it doesn't happen. This is one of those ones where we finally got the rub of the green, and it was unbelievable. And it was really nice as well because it started straight away. Was it like the first minute or the second minute where Odegaard scored? And so it's like from the first, like that opening section, scored. And then as it was closing moments, scored again. So it was just salt in the wounds for City. It was lovely.
That second half was so good. I remember like in the first half, everyone was like judging Havertz because he missed and then he scored, and then everyone was playing well. I mean, that was Odegaard's first goal, non-penalty goal in the Prem out of the two that he got. So got to take. And the second one was the last kick of the season. So fair play to it.
Isn't that depressing?
It's even more sad because we spoke about last week about how he's like, oh yeah, he's actually looked like he can shoot again now, like the Liverpool, the PSG, some of that, and then he goes and scores a banger against Southampton. Oh wow, great! He seems like he's recovered now, but at least he showed something. Yeah, but
I mean, maybe. Do you think that's because pressure's off? Do you think that's because it's like the injury has kind of healed, because there's been word around that? Do you think it's because instruction from Arteta, like start shooting? Like what do you think like the main reason for that is?
I feel like it is down to kind of the injury, like in some ways, because the technique that he was doing before, like when he was shooting, he was quite nervous. He would always like he wouldn't even be confident in his shot. It'd take so many touches and take his time. And I think now he's just got, I don't know, the ability. He's just taking it in one touch to the side and just smashing it like we know we've seen it before. And like the technique as well, he's doing it. He's hitting it properly on his laces and not like kind of scuffing it a bit more and like side footing it a lot more than he did before. So I think maybe his ankle is just healed and he now feels confident, because it has just been a turnover from him being awful to a week later, just he knows how to shoot again.
Yeah. It's just so frustrating, isn't it? Like if he hit, I know he hit the one against PSG pretty cleanly, but that one was just perfect. But I guess that's the difference when the pressure is slightly off, you do get those connections slightly better.
If he could do this next season, like if that is back, then I think like people wouldn't complain about Odegaard as much. Like I've said that, I have problems with him, but if he could just shoot again, I think we'll be fine. He'll score loads of goals because he's so good from them areas. So I like, it's annoying because it's late, but at least like it kind of gives you some reassurance that he isn't just finished at it. Like
I completely agree. Yeah, there's a little bit of like, I don't know, like, oh, okay, going into this summer, maybe we don't have to worry so much about him playing as like a, I don't know what you want to call it, like a rudimental 10, like a true 10. I still worry about legs in that midfield though, especially with Zubimendi coming in. He is not like the most agile and the most powerful player, but that's something that we'll probably cover in future episodes. Quite a nice short one tonight, mate. How long have we been going for? I don't know how long we've gone for, because obviously you suddenly cut out and I had to stop it and cut back in. But it's quite a short one for us. Look at us being efficient at the end of the season. Before we do finish, let's do kind of one more award. So, player of the season for Arsenal. I'm looking at 5 players. So David Raya, Gabriel, Timber, Declan Rice, Bukayo Saka, maybe Thomas Partey. The first half of the season he was good. I know how much you love him. Who are you going with?
I still think, no, I don't know. The whole season I've been like Gabriel, and but it's so harsh because he's been injured. But then it's like, he hasn't been here. I don't know. I think enough time has passed now where I think I have to kind of give it to Yuri and Timber. Like, I just think, and I know like Rice is kind of like, it's weird because I didn't even have Rice in my top 3 until like the last month, kind of. Yeah. And I get he's the guy that everyone's talking about now, and I think he has been brilliant. I do really think that. But in a way, he's like, I'm not surprised. So maybe that puts it a bit down for me, because it's just like, it's the sort of thing I've seen people in their team this season not put Gabriel because they're like, well, he's you know, we knew how good he was, and Milenkovic is a shock. And it's like, well, that's not really how it works. But I think, I don't know, I think there's a shout for loads of them. I think just given the situation around Timber, his injury he had last year, the fact he had an injury apparently for a lot of this season, I think it's an ankle, and he's continually just put performances out. Like, he's not the best going forward, but he is like a 80% player going forward. He just isn't the best compared to like a White when he's fully fit. But that's not like he's bad. We're just comparing him to our
tripod that he's had in terms of missing Odegaard for long periods, missing Saka for long periods. I think that's made his job even more difficult. So for him to be able to go forward and be effective, he's had to deal with those problems as well. So I think, when Ethan Nwaneri is playing out on the right, he's almost having to be that insurance policy for Ethan. Whereas if it's Bukayo Saka, then he has a little bit more freedom. So I think this is something that people forget sometimes. He's been brilliant. Like I think it's between him and Gabriel. I think, again, Declan, if you're looking at Champions League, then I think he's really shown that he's the player that will step up and drag us through certain games and certain moments. Those free kicks alone were fantastic. They were unbelievable. But, he's had quite a few match-winning goals this season. I just think in terms of consistency, Gabriel's been better even with the games that he's missed. And I think if Gabriel hadn't missed the end of the season, he would be my player of the season. But I agree. Annoyingly, I'm going to agree with you. You're in Timber, mate. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, the craziest thing about that is that we mentioned like the 5 players, and I would agree with you. They are like my 5. Right, I would probably
don't forget Thomas Partey.
I don't know about that, but like we didn't even mention Saliba, and I've seen people put Saliba in their Premier League team of the season, which, like, I think, again, it's another thing where like he is actually really good and really consistent. But I think when we compare him to Gabriel, and we even compare him to Kiwior since Kiwior's come in, I would argue Kiwior's been better since it's been them two together. Kiwior and Saliba. I think Kiwior might actually be better, like, consistently.
I think, but like Saliba's had the higher highs but the lower lows. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think Kiwior's more consistent. I think he's just a bit of like,
that's mental.
Which is it's a bit, yeah. Kiwior deserves major credit. He's been incredible. Like, he really, even against Newcastle, like, I think he was incredible in that game. And Newcastle are not a bad team. That's a good team to play. But it's mental. Like, I've seen people put Saliba in their team this seasons and Rice. And it's funny that they put, I get like it's positional based. Like, Saka's not going to get in right wing, even if he has a great season because of Salah. But I don't know. It's weird that I've seen people put Rice and Saliba, and I'm always thinking, like, I think Arsenal's best players are Gabriel and Timber this year. Like, I don't know. Like, I think they would be in my Premier League team season rather than Rice and Saliba.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing a team of the season on the channel, and it's really difficult because I've been finding myself. I still haven't done it because I was like, oh, is Sells keeper of the season, and then the Fleckens had a brilliant season. I was like, but really, would I pick one over David Raya? I don't think I would. So with who do I go with? And the same with right back with Munoz and with Timber. And I think, well, Timber's the better right back, and he's been unbelievable, especially coming off the injury and then still having an ankle injury and needing surgery at the end of the season.
And his job's harder as well.
Yeah, and I think, which one would I really go with? Gabriel again. Would Gabriel get in there alongside? I think Van Dijk's a shoe-in, and it depends whether you go, do you just pick the two best centre-backs, or do you pick the left centre-back and the right centre-back?
I think I'd pick Gabriel and Van Dijk. I don't care about left centre-back stuff. Van Dijk's right foot, get him out there.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Well, it's funny because I saw like Opta do their like best 11 based on I don't know what's based on Opta, so I guess it's some sort of stats. And they made it properly. So they did Van Dijk and left centre back, and then Saliba right centre. I was like, oh, okay, so they're doing it properly. Then Mbuemo's in left wing, and I was like, well, okay, well, you should. So you just couldn't think of a left winger, so you written Mbuemo out there. I was like, well, what's happened there? You might as well put Gabriel in. Like, I was like, what is going on? And I was like, I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I will do is, I think, to kind of basically as a get out clause, I think I'm going to do it saying only one player from each team. So I'll see how I get on with that. If I still can't make my mind up, I might be messaging you and going, mate, we're going to have to do it on the pod because I cannot choose. So you're going to have to help me. So maybe that'll be the next pod, mate. But thanks again for your time, bud. So it's like, I'm impressed with us doing this that quick, because usually, it's 2 hours and we're still going to ramble on. But I'm happy. Let's go back to this. I am happy with this. This is not bad. So who have we disagreed on? We've kind of agreed more or less on everything. Yeah. There's none that I'm looking at on your side going, nah, you're completely in the wrong there.
I feel like Marmouche for newcomers is a bit of a cop out, but it's a weird award. It's very.
But maybe if you're saying newcomer is during the season.
Yeah, that's kind of why, because it's I don't know, Howson probably is as well, but it's I put him for best signings, so I don't want to put. You can't have all of the awards, mate. You got to pick one.
Quick question, actually, before we finish up. Does the young player of the award need to change? Because isn't it under 23 at the moment?
Yeah, but if you're 23 when the season starts, you still count. So
because I know Gravenberch and Saliba are
24. Bro's unk. That's how old I'm. 24 in 4 days, 5 days, and I could still qualify for it this season. I'll take it. Young player of the year. I'll take it.
Young content creator of the year.
Where's my award?
Do you know
exactly?
What? Actually. How old does young content creator of the year have to be? Because I feel like, say, if you're talking Arsenal content creators, I mean, we've got some old dudes.
Wow,
I'm going good compared to some guys. I'm all right.
But this is what I was gonna say. In normal content creation, when I watch gaming or something, I'd say 24 is probably middle age, probably fine at that point. But in Arsenal content creation, I'm the youngest person in the Arsenal content creation. I said there's no younger people. I know if they are younger than me, then everyone hates them.
Mate, I'm starting this on Twitter. Do you know what? I'm putting out a tweet now. I'm just no context at all. I'm just gonna put vote for Wokkels.
We should do young play. We should do Arsenal content awards.
Yes, we should. Oh, mate, we should do that. I'm putting vote for Wokkels TV.
There is some guy. To be fair, there is a few young guys on TikTok who make some really good stuff. I don't know what their names are. I can't remember, but one day I will find out, because they are doing good stuff.
I don't know their names. They're not as big as me, but one day when they've got to this level.
No, I said that. I just don't remember names well. I'm not a name person.
It's going out. Okay, yeah. Yeah.
God, this is it. But yeah, well, I mean, this is the thing. It does need to change, though. It needs to change. It needs to be 21 and under. Maybe if you're 22 by the end of the year, maybe. But there should also be a limit. If you've played 3 seasons in the Prem or over 2 seasons, like 2
I
and
agree
a bit,
with that.
you should not be, because Foden, like, it was just stat pad, and every year he's nominated. Because he's 18, 19, 20.
I don't even think he deserved it as well some of the time. Because I was like, you're not actually contributing enough to your team. Yes, I understand you're a very talented individual, but you're not. Do you know what I mean? When you've got someone like a Dean Howson, I'm looking at this, right, and he has contributed significantly to the success of his team. They would be very stuck without him this season. You know, they've now got money to invest for next season. But when you've got Phil Foden just kind of dripping in and out of the team, and he's surrounded by David Silva and De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva and, you know, Mahrez and, you know, all these players, you go, oh, it's a little bit different for you. It's a little bit different.
Yeah, it's like, I mean,
maybe they need an amount of minutes that they should be playing as well.
Yeah. I mean, Miles can literally win it for 5 years. He can win it for the next 5 years, half a decade.
That's
like
mental,
the Copper Trophy, which is like the young Ballon d'Or, that is like 21 and under. And even then, I have problems of rating a 21-year-old compared to a 17-year-old. I just think they're at different parts of their career. Like, how can you? But like, I mean, I guess that's as best as you're going to get it. But like, waiting Gravenberch compared to a Miles Lewis-Skelly is just crazy. Like, Gravenberch has played in the Dutch league, the Bundesliga, and the Prem, and been a professional, played like 200 games, and Miles has played like 20. It's like they're not even at the same part. Like, it's just incredible.
Yeah, it is
not
mad,
comparable.
Maybe we need like that'd be great if they did like a prospect of the year, young player of the year, player of the year, and then elder statesman of the year. And you just have everyone, you know, around my age. That'd be fine.
Over 30s, they could do over 30-year-olds. We have like 2 in the team, Party and Jorginho. So
Party would be available for that. That'd be right. Oh, hang on, Mo Salah would be available for that, wouldn't he?
They should call it like the Uncle Award or something.
Thanks,
we give the Uncle Award.
I'm getting a complex about this. No, it's fine because I'm in the content. I'm in the middle age. Not even middle age. For God's sake, I'm not like 40 yet.
I think in football, though, in football content creation, I would say that you'll probably be in the middle. There's a lot of older people doing football content creation.
You know what I'm going to do next week? I'm just going to start off by going, welcome to the Forder and Wokkels podcast. And here is a list of content creators older than me. And I'm just reel off a load of people.
Imagine if I made videos for like 15 years. That's crazy.
That is like, mad.
That is like they'll be like, what, the same age? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't want to get old. That's my birthday in 4 days, 5 days. Why are we talking about this? It's awful time.
Getting old. Have you seen how grey my hair look? That's why I cut it so short, mate. Because it's just getting greyer and greyer and greyer. Right, on that note, please like and subscribe, especially to me, due to the fact I'm, I haven't got long left on this planet, unfortunately. Thank you again for all the support. Genuinely, this year has been amazing. Like, end of the season, this has been a wicked year for me to be able to, do the podcast with Reese, to go on all the other things. And I know a lot of you have hit me up on X and on the Discord from Canon Podcast, which I kind of help run, which is a bit of a weird one, but genuinely it's been a wicked year. Make sure you go subscribe to Reese on FOKLZ TV, and we will catch you next week. Cheers now.